A burly human man, stripped down to swim trunks in the bitter cold, launches himself into a cross-shaped gap in the ice. A Melora medical observation team, clad in thermal gear rated for extreme environments, watches with mounting horror. Beneath the ice, the human vanishes into dark water, a small cross the only adornment on his chest. He erupts from the hole, bellowing laughter, arms thrust skyward. The human crowd roars approval.
Mass casualty event. Uncontrolled thermal exposure. Why is Earth Command not responding?
Alert mass casualty event. Extreme thermal exposure. Earth Co. in action. Distress Class 1.
Class 1, distress from Earth. Scramble the entire intervention fleet. Prepare for humanitarian extraction.
Insectoid warships tear from their berths in perfect formation, engines blazing white-hot against the void. Unaware of the interstellar machinery now racing toward them, more villagers take the plunge, one after another, still laughing. The fleet's estimated arrival, 3 hours. The clock is ticking on a crisis that does not exist. 3 hours earlier, high above Earth, the Melora observation shuttle received its mission briefing, a wellness audit of regional January traditions. The file indicated a religious observance near a rural village. Dr. Pescour expected quiet rituals, not the chaos to come. The shuttle descended through the clouds, revealing a snow-smothered landscape and a tiny Orthodox church. At the frozen lake, humans were cutting into the ice. The cross-shaped hole seemed purposeful, but deeply unsettling to the alien observers. Liquid water in this temperature meant certain death for most known species. Yet the villagers gathered around it, as if at a sacred spring. A bearded human in flowing robes blessed the opening with a large cross, chanting words the translator could not yet parse.
This is a ritualistic preparation? But for what? They cannot be planning to enter that water.
An older woman shed her heavy coat, revealing a thin swimsuit beneath. She was smiling, as if this were a summer beach. Then the priest himself removed his vestments to stand in only swim trunks, the same cross now resting against his bare, frost-rimed chest.
Their thermal regulation must be failing. This is a mass exposure event in progress. We must document everything before it becomes a catastrophe.
The first human stepped to the edge of the ice hole and, without hesitation, leaped into the black water.
Water temperature, 1.2 degrees Celsius. That's fatal exposure within minutes for any warm-blooded species.
Then the man shot upward from the hole, gasping and laughing as if reborn, arms raised to the gray sky.
They are celebrating their own demise. This is not survival behavior. It is collective insanity.
The crowd erupted in cheers, and a woman in her 60s stepped forward, crossing herself before taking her turn.
They are lining up. It's a systematic mass event. We must transmit a distress call immediately.
Agreed. I am declaring a Class 1 thermal catastrophe. Earth authorities are clearly compromised or unwilling to respond.
His gloved finger hovered over the transmit command, the weight of the galaxy pressing down on that single button. The alert would read, Mass Casualty Event, Uncontrolled Thermal Exposure, Earth Co. in action. Distress Class 1, but up in orbit, the fleet had already received the call. The 3-hour countdown had begun. On the ground, Dr. Pescour and Tez watched the holographic countdown appear on their tablets. 2 hours, 59 minutes.
Another villager has entered the water. That's the 9th individual. Their core temperatures should be plummeting, but they keep laughing.
9? They're not stopping. This is not a random incident. It's a coordinated ritual of self-harm, and we are the only witnesses.
The villagers, oblivious, now gathered around steaming thermoses, passing cups of hot tea and clapping each other on the back.
They are fortifying themselves for another round. This cycle of exposure can only end one way.
A second wave began. Father Stephen, soaked and steaming in the frozen air, crossed himself and gestured for others to follow.
Their heart rates are elevated, but no signs of hypothermia. I am reading adrenaline spikes and something joy? This makes no medical sense.
The Melora team exchanged a look of pure bewilderment, their thermal gear suddenly feeling absurdly inadequate against the inexplicable. Half a galaxy away, the insectoid fleet was already locked into Earth's trajectory, their hulls humming with the urgency of a phantom crisis. 2 hours, 51 minutes. The countdown ticked onward, unnoticed by the souls it was meant to save. Inside the observation shuttle, Tez ran a continuous biometric scan, while the countdown clock hovered over their heads like a second sun.
Doctor, their core temperatures are barely dropping. I am reading only a 1 degree Celsius decrease after immersion. This isn't hypothermia.
Delayed onset. The shock will hit later. We cannot assume safety just because they smile.
On the ice, the humans were now drying off, still in good spirits, making no move towards shelter or warmth.
Sir, look at these adrenaline and endorphin readings. This is a euphoric state. It's not a medical crisis,
It is what? Mass hysteria. There is no biological precedent for this. We stick to the distress protocol.
But what if it's a test of faith? A ritual purification? Earth's culture is full of extreme traditions.
The debate grew heated, voices echoing in the cramped shuttle as the countdown clock continued its relentless march.
Tez, if you are wrong, we let them die. If I am wrong, we save them and apologize. I choose safety.
But Tez's doubt had been planted, and in the silence that followed, both stared at the tablet, its red alert still active, still summoning the fleet. Dr. Pescor and Tez trudged toward the humans, shouting in Galactic Standard to cease this exposure immediately.
Please stop. You are in lethal danger. Hypothermia will claim you within minutes.
The response was warmth. Olga, the older woman, pressed a steaming thermos into Tez's hands, chattering in Russian. Tez scanned the liquid, hot water infused with leaves of Camellia sinensis. No toxins, no drugs. Before they could react, Mikhail appeared beside Dr. Pescor, gesturing toward the ice hole like a proud host.
They want us to join them. They're completely dissociated from reality. This is worse than I thought.
Nearby, Father Stephen stood steaming, water dripping, murmuring what sounded like a blessing, his smile unwavering.
They've mistaken us for participants. Communication is non-existent. We are utterly helpless.
The Melora retreated, the gulf between them and the celebrating humans widening. Their pleas were swallowed by the snow. The tablet's red alert blinked, and beneath it, the countdown ticked to 2 hours, 14 minutes. The villagers began to gather their belongings, wrapping in heavy coats over wet swimsuits, still laughing as they packed.
The last one's vitals are perfect. Core temperature actually slightly elevated. There is no shock, no hypothermia.
They finished. No one collapsed. If delayed shock exists, it is. Improbable. But what else could this be?
Father Stephen, now bundled warmly, led the group up the snowy path. His cross still glinted beneath his open coat. He paused at the crest of the hill, turned back, and raised a hand, a gesture the aliens could only interpret as a farewell.
He waved, as if this were a picnic, as if we were old friends.
Maybe we are friends. We haven't assessed the cultural context. This could be a greeting.
The last villager disappeared behind the trees. The lake fell silent. Only the wind and a distant closing door reached their audio sensors. In the shuttle, the countdown read 8 minutes. The insectoid fleet was dropping out of warp, the village locked in their targeting scopes. The distress call still screamed into the void, yet on the ground there was nothing left to observe but a frozen hole and an eerie peace. Commander Vorath's image materialized on the view screen, compound eyes narrowing, mandibles clicking with impatience.
Observation team, report. Sensors indicate a cessation of activity. What is the status of the casualties?
Commander, the subjects have ceased exposure, but we cannot ascertain the exact cause. They simply stopped.
Stopped? Are you reporting confirmed fatalities? Give me numbers.
Dr. Pescor hesitated, the truth sounding absurd even to his own audio sensors.
0 fatalities. They gathered their belongings and walked toward the village. They were laughing.
Laughing? That contradicts all known trauma responses. Initiate containment protocol, Sigma -7. We may be dealing with a chemical or psychological influence.
Above the village, insectoid warships took formation, their shadows stretching like dark fingers across the snow-covered rooftops.
Commander, that may be premature. We have indications this could be a cultural event. We need time to investigate.
Request denied. We will contain and assess. Do not interfere. Vorath out.
Tez's translation algorithm finally triangulated the local dialect, spitting out key terms it had been chewing on for hours.
I have a partial translation. The word baptismos means immersion. They are observing a religious holiday called Orthodox Epiphany.
Dr. Pescor's face shifted from panicked determination to utter bewilderment, frost crackling on his faceplate.
Religious? They risked certain death for a ritual that still doesn't explain the complete lack of self-preservation.
All units. We have thermal lock on a single structure. Multiple life signs clustered inside. Commencing ground intercept.
Pescor broke into a run toward the village, fumbling with his communicator as the fleet's descent echoed overhead.
Commander Vorath, abort. This is not an emergency. It's a cultural ceremony. The humans are unharmed.
Observation team. You are displaying compromised judgment. Containment team. Breach and secure. Maintain full quarantine. Vorath out.
Insectoid drop pods screamed through the atmosphere, slamming into the snow outside the village with seismic force. Through the frost-edged window of Father Stephen's house, a calm shadow moved toward the door, unhurried and utterly serene. Vorath's containment teams fanned out, but the village was empty. No resistance, no injured, just closed doors and drifting smoke. Thermal scans revealed a single source of warmth. Father Stephen's house, packed with stationary life forms, none in distress. Dr. Pescor and Tez hurried through the snow, boots crunching until the sound of laughter and clinking glass froze them in place.
That's music. And I think they're toasting. This is not a casualty scene.
Then, what have we done? We summoned a fleet for a party.
The door swung open. Father Stephen stood there, a gentle smile on his face, warmth spilling out around him.
Come in, friends. Is cold. Have tea.
He gestured inside, where a table overflowed with food, and the exact villagers they had feared dead raised their glasses in greeting.
They're all alive. And they look genuinely happy to see us.
The tablet in Dr. Pescor's hand still pulsed with its urgent alarm, but the sound was drowned by human laughter. The room was a riot of aromas. Pickled vegetables, dark bread, smoked fish, vodka bottles stood like sentinels among steaming plates. Olga patted the bench beside her, gesturing for the aliens to sit, her smile crinkling frost-burned cheeks. Tez lowered himself onto the wooden bench, his thermal gear creaking, a pickled mushroom wobbling on the plate before him.
To life. To health. Blessing of the water.
I will not consume unknown substances. This could be a contaminant vector.
The chromatographic scan identifies it as a harmless fungus, and it actually smells quite appetizing.
Mikhail slid a slab of dark bread toward Tez, his laughter booming like a friendly cannon.
Cross. Water. Baptism is holy day.
Holy? What does he mean? Torturing oneself for a deity is called holy.
The translator flickered, trying to bridge the gulf between religious tradition and mass casualty. But the first fragile connection was forming. Father Stephen reached toward a shelf and pulled forth a small wooden icon, its colors faded but clear, a figure emerging from water, a dove descending, a cross.
Baptism. Baptismos. The immersion of a being named Isis. It symbolizes spiritual cleansing. This is holy water. They aren't dying, they're celebrating a rebirth. This is a sacred ritual, not a casualty event.
Sacred. They voluntarily submerse in freezing liquid for a metaphysical concept. Their biology must be incredibly resilient.
Observation team, we are at the threshold. Report status of hostiles, or we will breach.
Negative. No hostiles. Repeat, no hostiles. This is a cultural gathering, a feast. They are eating and drinking.
Eating? You reported a mass casualty event. Explain.
Pes Kor turned to Tez, his voice a desperate whisper. We have to recall the fleet, now, before they turn a festival into a war.
Show them the translator log, the religious context. If they see the cultural data, they might stand down.
But the tablet's emergency alert still screamed, and outside, the thud of armored boots grew louder. The door shuddered under heavy blows, but before it could splinter, Dr. Peskor threw himself against it, tablet raised, shouting into the communicator.
Commander, stand down. The translator has confirmed. This is a religious ceremony, the Orthodox Epiphany. No one is injured. No one is dying.
There was a long silence. Even the soldiers outside halted, their commander processing words that defied all logic.
You dispatched a Class 1 distress fleet. For a religious bath, unacceptable.
But the invasion halted. The insectoid troops lowered their weapons, and above, the warships began their slow, humiliating withdrawal. In their place, a small diplomatic drone hummed through the doorway, scanning the room with impartial sensors as Father Stephen watched with serene curiosity.
Ah, a blessing. For your machine, we have biscuits.
He held out a round, buttery biscuit. The drone scanned it, then emitted a polite, synthesized decline.
It declined. Politely. That's actually standard protocol for unexplored food items.
Forath's voice crackled one last time, heavy with disbelief. She ordered the fleet to base, leaving the observation team to explain the mess to the Melora compact. Father Stephen guided the aliens to a quieter corner of the warm room, away from the cheerful chatter, his expression patient and understanding.
I have made the largest medical misclassification in Melora history. The fleet's deployment will be a political disaster.
We must file a full disclosure report. Every detail, every error. If we bury this, it will happen again on some other world.
They will call me a fool. My career
Is less important than preventing a humanitarian intervention over a sauna. We must be the ones who fix this.
You are right. Let it be a lesson for the compact. We will file the report under our own names.
You have heavy hearts. But in this village we say, God makes miracles, even from mistakes. Drink.
Dr. Peskor opened a blank document on his tablet, fingers trembling slightly as he began to type. Incident report, 40th observation mission, Earth, Yekaterinburg region. Title, Ice Bathing Crisis, a cultural misclassification. Outside, the last echoes of the insectoid fleet faded into silence. Inside, the first honest words poured forth and the real work began. Tez worked for 3 cycles, compiling every vital sign. The conclusion was absolute, 0 harm, no casualties.
The medical appendix alone is 1,200 pages. Every heartbeat proves they were never in danger.
I've drafted the cultural context section. It recommends a mandatory cultural verification protocol before any distress signal.
The full report, 1,400 pages of error and explanation, was transmitted into the bureaucratic void. Then, the waiting began. Within a cycle, fragments of the report surfaced on the Galactic information networks. The headline blazed, Alien medics flee Russian ice bath.
The compact is being called a laughingstock. Our apology to Earth made the front page.
A laughingstock, and we deserve it. We almost invaded a planet over a winter swim.
The Melora Compact convened an emergency session. Delegates demanded answers as the crisis dominated galactic discourse. For the first time in centuries, the compact's cultural blind spots were exposed. The galaxy watched as ancient protocols crumbled. Reform was inevitable. But whether it would be meaningful or merely cosmetic, no one could yet say. The council chamber hummed with tension. A senior delegate rose, her voice cutting through the chatter like a scalpel. Another delegate argued that the compact's reputation had been irreparably damaged. Yet a third pointed at the report's cultural context section. A new recommendation appeared on the central display: the Cultural Context Verification Protocol, to be integrated into all medical observation missions. The motion passed with an overwhelming majority. The compact had admitted its flaw and committed to change. Then, an unexpected motion, a special commendation for the human priest who had calmly averted catastrophe. They struck a medal, its inscription reading, "For peacekeeping through cultural understanding."
Never in my career have I seen such a mess turned into a diplomatic gesture.
The compact formally amended its charter, engraving the Cultural Context Clause into law. A diplomatic vessel prepared to depart for Earth, carrying the medal and an official apology. The crew aboard watched the news feed. Galactic Council rewards priest who stopped a war. The screen flickered, and Father Stephen's serene face appeared. The diplomatic vessel settled onto the snow-covered street outside the church, its engines barely disturbing the quiet morning. A small ceremony assembled by the frozen lake. Father Stephen stood in his finest robes as Dr. Pescor stepped forward, a golden medal in hand.
Spasibo. I will treasure it.
Back inside his vestibule, Father Stephen looked at the heavy medal in his calloused hand, then at the cluttered desk.
Perfect.
He set it on a teetering pile of church bulletins, the weight of the galaxy itself now holding down next Sunday's hymns. From the doorway, Dr. Pescor and Tez watched the greatest honor their civilization could bestow become a glorified paperweight.
I believe we may have overestimated the value of medals.
Or underestimated the value of a good paperweight.
The medal stayed on the desk. Outside, the cross-shaped hole began to refreeze, ready for next year's faithful. At the Melora Medical Academy, students gather around a glowing screen, watching the original distress video with wide, horrified eyes.
This is why the Cultural Context Verification Protocol exists. We must never again mistake a holy bath for a mass casualty.
In his apartment, Dr. Pescor opened a formal letter from the compact, a reprimand for misclassification, paired with a commendation for his commitment to truth.
Fool and hero, both in the same breath. Perhaps that's the exact definition of a pioneer.
The original tablet, still displaying the red alert, was donated to the Galactic Museum of First Contact, encased in crystal for all to see. In the council chamber, a permanent exhibit opened. The Ice Bathing Crisis, a case study in cultural humility. A senior delegate addressed new recruits, holding the very report that had once caused so much turmoil.
We've come a long way. And it all started with a man in a frozen lake who just wanted to say hello.
And I just wanted to save everyone. Lesson learned. Sometimes, the best way to help is to first understand.
A holographic plaque in the Academy hallway read, "In memory of the Ice Bathing Crisis, may our understanding deepen." A year later, a different kind of visitor came to the frozen lake. They wore thermal suits, not swim trunks. Souvenir stalls appeared near the church. The most popular item, a shirt reading, "I survived the ice bathing crisis, and so did they." Father Stephen led the blessing, his voice as steady as ever. His cross nestled against his chest beneath the vestments. Olga and Mikhail prepared for the plunge, waving at the alien onlookers like old friends. Then Mikhail leapt, a moment of pure joy frozen in the crisp air, and the tourists gasped in delight.
Is good, da? In Russia, we call this Wednesday.
The crowd laughed, a sound that needed no translation. Afterward, over steaming cups of tea, an insectoid tourist asked Father Stephen why they did it.
To remember, that we are small, but the water's embrace is always new.
And so the tradition continued, unbroken, unchanged, and entirely unconcerned with the galaxy's opinion. Months later, a sleek observation shuttle descended through the Finnish sky. Tez stood at its window, calm and focused.
This is a routine wellness audit. We're observing a Finnish sauna and ice swimming tradition. Remember the CCV protocol. No panic.
At the lake, a family emerged from a wooden sauna, steam swirling around them, and plunged calmly into the icy water. They didn't scream or panic. They laughed, rolling in the snow, then retreated back to the sauna's warmth. Tez checked his tablet. The CCV module had already cross-referenced the activity with human cultural databases. The screen displayed a green checkmark. Cultural context verified. No distress required.
No distress. Just another Tuesday on Earth. We've come a long way from the Epiphany panic.
He filed a brief, routine report, then looked up at the northern lights dancing across the sky. The compact's new protocol had transformed potential disasters into moments of quiet, appreciated beauty. And somewhere in a Russian vestibule, a golden paperweight held down a stack of bulletins, unremarkable and perfect. In his quiet apartment on the home world, Dr. Peskor traced the edge of a crack in his wall, a habit of contemplation. A soft chime interrupted the silence. A holographic envelope materialized before him, its sender unmistakably coded, Earth, Russia, Father Stephen. He opened it. A tiny holograph bloomed, Father Stephen standing outside his snow-dusted house, beard whiter than before, waving with serene patience. The attached message, next year, bring your swim trunks. The tea is waiting.
That old man. He still thinks I am made of iron and prayer.
He laughed, a low, genuine alien chuckle, the kind that needed no translation. Outside his window, a different sun rose over a different city. But in that moment, he felt the warmth of a Russian kitchen and a crackling fire. He saved the message, placing it on his shelf next to the small, dust-covered case that once held a panicked tablet.
Perhaps one more mission wouldn't hurt.
The cross-shaped hole in the distant Russian village had long since refrozen, but the bridge it had formed between worlds remained, unbreakable and warm. The next January, dawn broke over the frozen lake. A fresh cross-shaped hole had been cut in the ice. Near the shore, a small sign stood in the snow. It read in English and Galactic Standard, Cultural context verified. A group of villagers approached, wrapped in coats, carrying towels. Among them, a teenage boy wore a familiar souvenir t-shirt. The boy turned to Olga, his breath misting. Is it true the aliens nearly invaded because of this?
They thought we were dying. Now they come for the tea.
The sign had become an unexpected landmark. Alien tourists often paused to take selfies with it, but for the villagers, it was simply Epiphany. The cross blessed the water, and the faithful plunged. The tradition, older than any galactic council, carried on. Undisturbed, unchanged, simply human. The sign stood sentinel, a monument to a crisis that never was, and a bridge that would endure. And as the new sun climbed, it caught the gold of the paperweight on Father Stephen's desk, and the ice sparkled, and all was right.